I have a passion for the art of painting. It has brought me to ecstasy. It has brought me to tears. And I've been fortunate enough to have many years to study this art form. Now, for most of us, our understanding of this language, our teaching in this language ends in elementary school. So I just want to take a few minutes in this video to open up the possibility of an enormous amount of pleasure that can be gained in the contemplation of art. Seeing is an automatic process. The light comes into our eyeballs, hits our retina, sends signals to our brain through really a biological miracle, creates the synaptic dance that allows us vision. But looking is a skill, and one that can be learned. So I'd like to bring you to our example. This is The Death of Lucretia, painted by Rembrandt van Rijn, 1664. So what do we see here? A woman grieving? No. What we actually see is a series of tones and colors ranging from very dark brown to this light creamy white here. Human beings have been involved in painting for a very long time. You imagine you run through a stream, you kick up some mud, you see the pattern on your skin. Maybe you take your finger and you daub some on your face or your arms. You draw patterns. It stimulates the mind. Soon you get the idea of taking this paint and other pigments and putting them on cave walls, lighting up the torches, making music, telling stories. The same thing we do in movie theaters today. We've been doing this longer than we've been human beings. Our Neanderthal cousins also had cave paintings. This maybe is where we began to learn language, and it started our ascent to what we have become. So to understand the fundamentals of painting is to understand how those pure abstract shapes and colors stimulate our mind, and how the hands of an artist can manipulate us through those fundamental patterns. Let's take an example. Let's go and have a close look down at this chain here. And what we see when we look close up is this beautiful collection of ochres and whites and yellows, all dancing together in that beautiful pattern without any relation to anything else. That in itself stimulates pleasure in our mind. Now, let us think about sensuality for a little bit. So, if a painter creates something that perhaps looks like fur or has the same qualities as fur, that information will enter our brain through our eye and stimulate the tactile memory of that fur. Now, European art was quite unique in becoming very intrigued by the illusion of creating a two-dimensional illusion of our reality. And partially it's to do with that sensuality. In an otherwise very sexually repressed Christian culture, the classical ideals were still venerated. So as long as you couch things in a classical sense, so you could create a nice firm pair of buttocks in marble or a lovely pair of breasts in paint, and so people could enjoy that sensuality in an otherwise repressed culture. And we know in our own day how important that sensuality is. Really, pornography started or launched the video revolution that launched the internet in the early days. So obviously, sexuality is something we're very interested in and enjoy looking at. So part of this enjoyment is in the illusion, the creation of this illusion of reality. So let's take, for example, this necklace here. All right? So we have this pearl necklace. And from a distance, it just looks like an absolutely remarkable rendition of this pearl necklace, something precious and beautiful, something we would lust for. Now, if we go in and look very closely, what do we have? We have these abstract shapes and marks. And we can follow these throughout the whole painting here. Across the dress, right? We can see, on the one hand, it is this beautiful silken material, and on the other hand, there is the pure joy of the marks, the different color mark making. So we are being fed these sensations twice at the same time. So we have the fundamental building blocks, the abstract, pure sensations of the color and the form and the texture of the paint itself. And then on top of that, we have this illusion of reality. It's very beguiling. And then on top of that, we have another level, the intellectual level. So painters, they're not just pimps of sensuality, good painters anyway. So who is this beautiful woman, Lucretia? She was the wife of Collatinus, who was immensely proud of his wife and her virtue. But this inflamed the passions of Tarquinius, who was the son of one of the local dictators, and no doubt used to getting whatever he wanted. So he came to Lucretia's house one day. She invited him in and then raped her. She told her father and her husband what had happened, and they believed her, but she was so ashamed of what had happened to her that she chose to commit suicide. Her husband and her father fomented a revolution that overthrew the Roman kings and established the Roman Republic. So at this time, when Rembrandt was alive, the Dutch Republic was the most powerful republic in Europe. The rest of Europe, apart from a few patchworks, were under the control of totalitarian kings, one of whom ruled the Habsburg Empire and was trying to reassert its control over the Dutch. So using all the wealth looted from the rape of America, the Spanish were paying for huge armies, were pressing in against the Dutch. Really the last bastion of the Republican ideal of freedom against totalitarian rule. So viewers at this time would understand that this is a political work. Do you rally to the side of this woman, or do you side with Tarquinius? There is, of course, the final layer, the contemplation of her life. So the whole structure of the painting is rooted around this the ultimate contemplation. The painter essentially creates a garden in which to lead the viewer's eyes. And the composition of this garden are like the paths that lead you through so you can see the beautiful flowers and the wonderful vistas. If you get lost in the paths, or they're unclear, you're going to get irritated and frustrated. But a skillful artist can use these compositional elements to lead you on this magical mystery tour. So let's take, for example, we have here a triangle, this cream triangle over her shirt here. And then against that, we have the two hands, same lightness of color, although they protrude somewhat through into a three-dimensional space. They are quite equally balanced in tone and are balancing over this triangle here. This top triangle intersects with the bottom triangle. Right here where they intersect is the central part of the painting. It's where all the eye is ultimately always led, is to this point, because it's at this point where the dagger, if she so chooses, is going to plunge. The two hands and the head of a similar fleshiness, causing another triangle. Then we have movement here from this hand through the chain, up through this barely noticed curtain at the back here that brings us above the head, poised as we look through her eyes, back to our central point, back to the center. So wherever we choose to enter this painting, Rembrandt will have set traps. So once we're inside, he's going to enchant us. So we're not going to want to leave this surface. Let's say we enter over this hand here. We see the pinks and the grays here. See how wonderfully rendered this hand seems. It's delightful. If we follow it into the darkness, we see the greens of the veins. Those greens pick up the other greens around the dress here. We see the whole painting. It's a very subdued song of oranges and greens. Now they're illuminated by that. See the lacy cuff here. Looks exquisitely rendered from a distance. Every little thread perfectly poised. If we go in close here, we can see it's just a scuff of grays and whites and blues, a little dance of abstract shapes. And as we move back, by some strange miracle, it coalesces into this illusion of the perfectly placed rough. It's delightful. And so we hunger for more. What else has he done? Look at this lovely shining material here. But again, as we move in, it's just a tumbling dance of the silks, the oranges, up through her face. Her sad, contemplative eyes. If we move in close to those eyes, what do we see? We see little orange marks floating above these clouds of gray. Again, we have the pure, the orange and that bluey gray. They set off an abstract stimulation into our mind. They are also transformed into the eyes of Lucretia, who is this being almost still alive from hundreds of years ago, preserved for our contemplation as she looks down and contemplates her fate, the fate of all of us. Is life really worth the struggle? Should we take charge of our own destiny, end our lives, or live slaves to our fear of the void? Perhaps Rembrandt in this answers that very question by enchanting us with this imagery, with his skill as an artist. As we contemplate the void, he's telling us, but aren't human beings magnificent? Isn't it incredible what they can create? Isn't looking at this beauty worth staying for? The beauty of the painting, the beauty of the woman, the beauty of her struggle, the struggle against tyranny, the struggle of all of us against mortality. I have spent many hours sitting in galleries, staggering around with my gallery back and my gallery foot, looking at other people who are really look like they're suffering too much pain for the kind of pleasure they seem to be getting from being in the room. So I suggest, if you take care with the way you look at paintings, don't try and see gallery after gallery after gallery. Choose 2 or 3 paintings. The hollow paintings won't hold your attention. It may dazzle you and then it will fade. But the great paintings, they will hold your attention for hours, for the rest of your life. Every time you go back and see them, they'll offer you more of interest. We live in our digital age where our minds are just flooded with electronic imagery all the time. TVs, phones, the screens are everywhere. It can be overwhelming. But I think if we can just take a little time to look slowly at the great works that have been handed down by our wisest, most knowledgeable forefathers, it can give us pure pleasure and a respite from the tumult of our everyday lives.